and one guy approached me and he hugged me and he said, "Hey, Hopline, I'm a big fan and I'm just buying everything you're making, everything you have, I bought."
A brand that maybe is small and they have put their heart and soul into producing this product and, you know, years of R&D, and you don't want to slam it, but at the same time, you've got to be open and honest. And I think,
But there was some beef in the comments as well.
Yes,
like
yes.
if you it was on YouTube, I remember, and then people were getting back to him, "Oh, you're a professional, you should not, it's not good for the sport, showing that you fail."
This episode is sponsored by SurfEars. Did you know that when you're foiling in cold water, that your ear canal can actually close up? You can grow extra bone, and then you can either lose hearing or you can get infections because the water that gets in cannot get out. So you should protect yourself with SurfEars. SurfEars are made to protect your ear, but you can still hear. Think about your health. Get your SurfEars in the link in the description. Stay safe.
This is Up on Foil, a podcast for everyone flying just above the surface. Pump, carve, soar, let's foil!
This episode is also sponsored by Foilsessions, but more on that later.
Welcome to episode number 76 of Up on Foil, the podcast where we talk all about foiling. Today, the big question is bias in reviews. Do people like you and me actually work? Is there any money involved? Those are the big question. And let me introduce us real quick. I'm Matt, an average foiler, trying to do some reviews, but mostly just enjoy foiling. It's not my 100% job. I am a teacher during the daytime, and just once in a while I can make a little video. And maybe we just introduce ourselves real quick. Nico, can you continue? Just a couple sentences.
I'm Nico. Some people might know me as Hopline. I'm actually a full-time content creator. So I turned my passion into my job probably much a year back. And yeah, it's a really nice topic, and I'm thinking about being biased, unbiased. It's so important. So I'm super happy to jump on this call and talk about being unbiased, biased. Gabe, up to you. Introduce yourself.
Yeah. So as you can see, this is my actual job. What I'm doing right now, I'm on shift tonight. So have to apologize if I run away and the alarm goes. Yeah. So I've got a channel, Hydro Gav, and you know, it's a real hot topic for me, the bias reviewing. It's pretty much all I do at the moment, reviews. I do a little bit of technical stuff and some teaching in there as well, but reviews is pretty much what I'm known for. And yeah, it's a real hot topic at the moment because I'm seeing a real divide in reviews and product placement. And so, yeah, I'm really keen to get into the nitty gritty of this and yeah, see what you guys think about it.
Awesome. Here we go. Product placement straight away.
Yes.
And I just want to get into it and ask yourselves or ask you, what are you calling yourselves? Are you calling yourselves influencer? I've heard Nico, you said inspirator once. I would call myself a content creator just because the word influencer here in Switzerland, it has a negative connotation. How does that work with you?
Yeah, I agree. I think influencer does have a bit of a negative. I don't really call it. I guess I'm a reviewer. I call myself a reviewer. But you know, I've kind of migrated into this space like by accident almost. So yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? I'm not really sure what the correct terminology is, to be honest.
I think I stick with content creator, but in the end, I think influencer, I kind of hate the expression, but it tells what we are doing because I didn't realize it to a certain point, but we are influencing people. And just at boat now, we just came back from boat show and one guy approached me and he hugged me and he said, "Hey, Hopline, I'm a big fan and I'm just buying everything you're making, everything you have, I bought." And that's the point. Like we do have a responsibility for what we put out there and how we rate it and doing reviews and stuff. So I think it's a very important topic. And so still, I do not like the expression influencer, but I think that's what we do as content creator.
Right.
It's a real important topic, and it's really hard to get it right as well because it's such a fine balance between, you know, being a brand that maybe is small and they have put their their heart and soul into producing this product, and years of R&D, and you don't want to slam it, but at the same time you've got to be open and honest. And I think the way to do it is to just speak from the heart, and you say, look, if you genuinely like it, then you can talk about it. And the problem I found is that my experiences can be wildly different to somebody else's, and it all depends on the experience, your background, the type of foiling you like to do. And so it's really hard to, and I get it, I'm sure you guys get it all the time. The question is, oh, I'm 80 kilos and I've got 2 years of background in windsurfing, what gear shall I buy? And you're like, I can't answer that for you. Like I could do it in a half an hour conversation, but not in just a chat. It's and I find that I can have that conversation with the guys, my friends at the beach, and the guys that come up to me. Here we go, guys. Sorry.
Here we go.
That's it. That was the first part. Maybe when you come back, Gav, we can go ahead again. Good luck, man. Okay. Talk to you soon.
Mate.
Oh my God. How big are the chances of him being called out?
Actually, I don't know how big the chances are, but just
no idea.
For the listeners, the viewers, that was part 1 out of I don't know how many, where we talk about bias in reviews.
This episode is sponsored by Foilsessions. Whether it is pump foiling, winging or parawinging, this app tracks time on foil, upwind angles and much more. For downwinding, you can set a destination and you'll get directions on your watch or on the earphones. Try it for free on the link in the description.
Can you hear me?
Is back. Yes, awesome. Let's just wait for Nico.
Yeah.
All right, Nico's back as well. Awesome.
Yes. It's a little bit of a pain setting up the whole thing here.
Sorry, dude. Yeah.
Are you ready? Everything in the back looks good, though. You were just saying, Gav, before we left, and this is part 2. Maybe we're going to have part 4 to 10. Who knows? Gav, you said someone asked what parawing to get. It's hard to really say. And I've been on half-hour, 45-minute calls with people I didn't know, and I asked them questions. I actually suggested a parawing for them, not earning anything out of it. I don't know. I feel I have kind of a responsibility with that if I do reviews, but how do you go if someone asks you a question like that?
I totally agree with you. There is an element of responsibility there, and I do reply to all of the messages. Time is precious, and you can't do that with everybody, because you end up like not, you spend time doing that, then you don't have the precious time to be able to obviously spend with your family, being on the water, or indeed doing more reviews. And so it's like with everything, it's a balance. And I think it's dangerous to be picking up calls, I think, to people, because it sets that if you do it for one, you've got to do it for everybody, and then your time will get eaten up. It will just get eroded away. And so I don't know. It's a really difficult one. I think the problem being is, as we just said, is that there is no golden answer. And 9 times out of 10, I think Nico, you said it in one of your videos, is that, like, honestly, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't matter. It's like, just get the one that's available, that's at a good price, that's at your local store. Because that's what I learn on. And that's, so going into these details that I go into is very nichey, and I don't think it's always needed. I think get a Parawing, get out on the water and just start learning. 90% of the things that hold people back is skill and experience as opposed to the equipment. Of course, it does play a large role, as you both know, and as you progress and you get better, it becomes more important, that's for sure. But for the general user, I think just get a Parawing, get out on the water and start learning. That's always my advice. People get hung up on which one. I think whatever one's available is my answer normally.
That's perfect.
Yeah. Spending time on the water, like no matter if we're talking Parawing, whatever, downwind, just every second in the water counts. And so many people come back from a frustrating first Parawing session, and I'll say, well, it's been a learning. It might not have been the most fun one, but every second counts. Just go out, enjoy yourselves, have a good time. It's like the journey is part of the game.
Yeah.
And you can always make it look good as a content creator, right? You can always just cut wherever you were about to fall and then insert a film where you're on foil or flying. So that's really hard to tell. Do you show failures as well sometimes? Gav, you did just a couple of days back where you fell on the foil or almost on the foil.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. Scary.
Yeah, that was a close one. But that happens all the time, and I do like I'm starting to do that more often actually. In the in the dislike section, because I can kind of like say, well, I didn't like it because not because it made me fall, but because I made a mistake and I didn't recover. But yeah, I think it's really important to show those because. I mean, I foil regularly with James Casey and Josh Kua, one of the world's greatest foilers, right?
Yeah.
And I see them fall all the time. Like, they fall and do kooky things as much as we do, but they have moments of brilliance, associated with that as well. But so we all fall, we all learn. It's part of the journey. Certainly in my power winging journey, like I did pick it up pretty quick. That was because I had a kiting background. Also I could wing, I could foil, but. I've definitely had my fair share of shocking sessions on a power wing, like not getting up, swimming in. I still have them. Like to this day, I still have them. So, I think there's no avoiding it. That's just part of the journey. But I'll tell you something for nothing. It is 10 times easier than learning to downwind sup. That is for sure. And I think that's why it's become so popular because it's much more accessible. And that's why I love it so much. That's why I've really gone down this rabbit hole with power winging because of that. Yeah, I regularly get opportunities to do downwind runs, and I think the biggest one for me is time. Like I just don't have the time to do a 4-hour shuttle. Even our local run is about 4. It takes about 4 hours, and with the power wing, I can go out for an hour, and it's I love it, and then you can get all the good bit and come back in again. So yeah, sorry, I haven't really answered your question there, but yeah, I do fall all the time, and I am starting to lean into showing it more often because I think also it makes you more relatable as well, rather than just seeing pro shots of people going backwards and forwards and so yeah, definitely.
How about you, Nico? Because I remember you did one post where you said like, I'm trying to do an ollie, please help me out. And sometimes people do that just to create more a response, but it felt genuine. It felt like, no, you were really trying to do that ollie. But that also is something that, well, are you just trying to gain views or are you really want to interact?
I was really struggling. I was trying to do the ollie and then every time I landed and I tried it on big foils, small foils, and I could never get back into like a clean pumping motion. If you size up on the ball and you're touching off the water surface, it's a lot easier, but I wanted to do it a clean way and I just couldn't do it. So I just asked the community and there was a lot of people sending me files like, this is how I do it. So that was really cool. But I'm not sure if you saw my first Parawing video, which was me getting tangled up, like totally lines all over my head. It was not enough wind, and if there's one thing you should do is like get overpowered and not underpowered. So I was highly 100%. Underpowered. I went on the beach and I so desperately wanted to try the power wing. So I was like, I just used the foil drive as a cheat code. So I took the foil drive. So we got remote one hand power wing, which you have never used before on the other hand. And then you get out on the foil drive. And I ended up, and that's the whole reel. It's just me getting tangled. The remote got tangled, and I was floating down on a river. It was like a strong current. I was floating down, I think more than 2 kilometers. And in the end, I just packed it all away. I got up, surfed like behind the tanker, surfed back, went on shore, and I was like, no, not today. I just need more wind. So that was a fail. And a lot of people came back to me. It's like, oh, so good you're showing this because this is exactly like, maybe not with a foil drive, but this is exactly what happened to me on the first session. It was just devastating. And I was like, yeah, but it's a learning process. But still, I came back and I walked back to the car and I maybe only spent 10 seconds on foil, but I still had a good session in terms of having fun. And I was like, yeah, it's just the progress, having fun, having a new challenge. That's part of the game. And I really enjoyed it. And I couldn't wait going back. Next day I was up again and it was same story. Like I had to use the foil drive again, but it's so much fun. And I think it's good to show fails as well.
Definitely. I remember Dave West's video when he first tried to power wing, and I thought that was so important. Also, like I like his style, and it's so relatable, and I think that's super important to show that as well, really.
But there was some beef in the comments as well.
Yes,
like
yes.
If you it was on YouTube, I remember, and then people were getting back to him. Oh, you're a professional. You should not. It's not good for the sport. Showing that you fail. It's like, how?
Really?
We're all human.
Wow.
Yeah. People like, I was jumping in on the comments like, hey, He's a human, like he's not a superhero, and it just shows how it is. Everyone needs to start at some point, and it's not about becoming a professional. It's about the way and having fun getting towards a professional.
But, you know, that's actually, you know, if you say something online, I don't know what your stories are with it, and you kind of expose yourself saying that's the best or that's the worst or I had problems here, the more views it gets, the more you have the other side as well, who just, I mean, it's the internet. Everyone has his or her opinion and they're strong about it. So, you know, the more views you have, the more problems you might have. Have you had bad experiences like that as well?
Yeah, I get it all the time. Like I get it. My gong one was probably one of the worst ones. I got a lot of people not liking that. And then my response is just like, I don't know, you know, I'm just telling you what I experienced. Like, do you want me to not be honest? Like, I don't understand that. And I think honestly, the way that I deal with it, and I'm not sure if this is the right way, is I just, if someone does a negative comment that doesn't bring anything to the party, I just get rid of it. I'm just like, I'm not interested. You know, it's just, life's too short to worry about stuff like that. And there's always going to be people that are negative on the internet. So I delete it.
Do you
I
delete
move
comments?
Yeah. And like if someone does and sometimes they're nasty as well. Sometimes they're like targeted.
Oh, really?
And I just remove them from the channel. I just say, you know, you're banned from the channel and that's it, you know.
Wow.
And I'm not interested in them watching my videos. You know, those videos can, you know, they can do that on someone else's videos. I've got no interest in it.
Yeah.
Because because the reason why is I was taking it with me, and I was like dwelling on those comments more than I was the nice ones. And the nice ones are the ones that are normally longer, and they're like, you know, blah blah, blah going on to the passionate people, and I'd give them like 2 minutes reply, and then the haters, I'd spend days thinking about the reply and then going backwards and forwards. I was like, what am I doing? This is crazy. Just stop that. And I just get rid of them and just focus on nice hat.
Thank you. Yes, because I want to get into the next topic, which is kind of like one of the main parts, like the bias or first part of the bias problem. I got this from Foil Brains. I made a podcast with him, and he sent over some gear. Now the cool thing is, I wasn't trying to sell anything, and it's not the things that I review usually. So it's kind of still within the foiling world, but it's not like a product that I review. So I don't have no problem showing that because I think it's really cool. Check out Foil Brand on Instagram and on their website. But the thing is, I don't know how maybe you can talk to me about how you get your stuff. I still have to ask people, brands, if they would send me a Parawing to test. There was one company who actually asked if I would review something for him, and I'm going to be completely honest, they paid me $300 for a video. They didn't say that I have to make a good video about it or they want to see it before, but they paid me $300 for a review video. And I did that just because, first of all, I don't earn any money with doing what I do. And honestly, it's kind of a 20% job. It's like 8 to 10 hours a week that I do that. And I still have to buy microphones, cameras, and whatnot. So I thought I'd do it, but still be totally honest. And I'm never going to like trash a brand anyway. I had once a Parawing that I didn't like at all, and I just didn't show it. It was the Stash One from Duotone. Made videos.
Now you did.
You know, it's just being honest. I think it's not worth buying that Parawing. If it's the only one you have, yes, use it. But then again, I just didn't show it at all. And I would have done the same with it was the Tacoon that they sent me over. And I really thought it was a good Parawing. And I'm super glad, Gav, that you had the same feeling. So when I watched your review, I was quite nervous. How do you do that if a brand approaches you? Do you approach brands? Do they pay you? How do you do that?
Maybe
you go first. Yeah, you go first, Nico.
All right. I think we've gone like similar ways, like the three of us. But for a general person not familiar with being a content creator or influencer, if you want to call it that way, there's so many decisions you have to make, like taking money, not taking money. And most people start off not thinking about this would be a profession or this would turn into me making money. I actually started off with saying I want to do something in the surf business. It's my absolute passion. And I sat down, and the first thing I did, I was like, I'm probably not going to take money. I'm not really sure about it, but I want to be honest. That's what you just said, Matt. Honest to my followers. And I think that's super important. For me, taking money and making reviews just doesn't work. And I thought it was like a little bit, I didn't really have a business plan. I thought just putting videos up on YouTube, and with time, you will just be living off YouTube. And like you probably always like, Gabe, you give all your money for charity and it's great, but that's not enough to make a living. And at some point you have to make money. And I'm still working. I'm trying to be full-time content creator now. I just working 2 days for Foil Drive, not as Hopline, but as Nico Hop, to make money, to still be in a more or less unbiased, honest position to make my reviews. And I think that's the best way to do it, because if you're taking money, if you're relying on brands, and then if you get something that's shit and the company has paid big money for that to put out your video, what are you going to do? Like you have to put out something, and then it becomes kind of false. And we do have a responsibility, and my responsibility I see is I want the customer or my audience, my followers, to have fun on the water. And if they go out with something that doesn't work for them because I made a wrong review, they are not having fun. And I think this is the most important part. And so many times people approach me and say, should I buy this? Should I buy this? And I was like, well, you don't have to. You already have this and this. Just utilize what you have first. And then if you know this inside out and you're getting bored, then you might think about getting something new, especially with Foil Drive. So many people think it's a super great tool and I love it, but you don't have to do, like, if you want to learn pumping, it's great, but you can learn pumping winging. So I'm always trying to give people an honest opinion. And I think that's something I decided for myself right at the beginning, which I'll still stick to. So Gabe, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying, mate. And, I do think there is a classic like cycle of a reviewer, which is you start off, you start doing it and you're raw and you're making honest reviews and you're just doing it for the love of it or hoping it goes somewhere. And then what naturally happens is as it grows and gets better, brands start seeing that, oh, wow, he's getting like 5,000 views. Like, that is great marketing. Let's jump on this. And they'll offer to send you something. And then the first company that does that, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And you feel like a big responsibility to the company. And then you're in this sort of like, conundrum of like, who am I? Who am I trying to service here? Is it the customers? Is it the consumers? Or is it the brand that's like kindly lent me this or given it to me? And so, and that's the fork in the road. And a lot of people get that wrong, I think. I also want to say that, and actually I'll put my hand up. I've got that wrong before. I have got that wrong on certain occasions. And as I've grown, I've now really leaned the other way where in my view, I'm servicing the consumer and the brand. And if you do that, then the brands will follow. That's my sort of mentality, is that if you get enough people that are interested in your channel, you can then set terms to the brands. And that's what I'm doing now. So a brand will reach out to me and say, hey, can you review this? And I just send them back a boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I can do it, but these are the terms. And a lot of brands say no to that. I've had 3 or 4 recently that have said no.
Really?
And that's cool. I've got no dramas with that at all. Like, absolutely fine. If that's the case, then our pathways aren't going to align and we'll go separate ways. But most people do. Most brands do. And they're not unreasonable. And I post them now on my YouTube channel as well.
Yes, I saw that. That is super cool.
So people can just see that's the deal, And the deal that I have is that the brand send me the product. They have no editorial rights to it at all. It's not a review. It's not a promotion. It's a review. And I get to keep the product afterwards to sell it. And that's how, because you don't make money out of YouTube. So every video that I do, I can sell the product. And then that's enough money to compensate for my time, all the lighting and bloody blah and everything that comes with it that you guys know about. And I think the important bit that I think people need to know is that if you don't have some way of making it beneficial to the guy that's doing the review, but all of a sudden the reviews stop, it's unsustainable. So there has to be this happy medium of like, you have to be, there has to be some sort of reward there. You can't just give, all of your time away for nothing when you've got family and, otherwise people just won't do reviews and then the consumer doesn't get the benefit of that. So like with everything in life, it's a balance and you got to get that right. And I think the key to it is to set the rules really early. And I think anyone, like my advice to anyone that wants to get into this in any industry is to set those boundaries really early and just accept for the first year or 2 years, 3 even, you're going to have to eat shit. Like you're going to have to pay a lot of money for gear. You're going to have to, you do not make money in this game. You're doing it for passion. That is for sure. One of the best ways I think of doing reviews, if someone wants to get into it, is to borrow gear from friends and review that way. And I think that's a really good way of doing it in the beginning, is to like go to your mates and say, hey, can I borrow that Armstrong foil for a week and you can have mine and I want to review it and we'll swap back again. And that way it is completely unbiased. And I do that as well. I do that quite regularly. I'll ask someone to do a swap, but it's got to be something in it for them as well. So yeah, that's how I deal with it.
I would say that's the best way, because even if you buy a Parawing and like the first ones, the Flow, the D-Wing, I got a discount for it and I used it, I reviewed it, but I still felt, yes, I paid for the Parawing, but I got a discount. So I'm still kind of like, I have this affiliation with them, but also if they just send it and then I'll send it back, well, thank you for sending it over. So there again, there's something there already which would make me unbiased. So it's really hard to differentiate. But yes, as you said, Kev, using a friend's wing, something there again, like I have friends who are either ambassadors or really love that brand. So there's a connection as well already. Maybe not as strong as if they were to pay you directly, but still there's always it's always subjective, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And I also think there's always an internal bias there anyway for brands. Like I do have my favorite brands, I definitely do. And there's brands that I don't particularly like riding, and every so often I will use one of their brands and it will surprise me and I'll be like, wow, actually this is really good. But I definitely like, obviously I love Code. I ride their foils all the time, but I love Armstrong. I think the Armstrong products are great. Anything they come out with, I always want to go on because I just like it. And I think I do have perhaps a little bit of a bias towards that. I'm not sure, but I'm always slightly aware of it. And I try and be objective, but that's just the way it is, I think.
I think that's a very good point. And there's another one you said before, Gabe, and that's not only personal preference in terms of towards a brand or something, it's your physical shape and your style of riding. Like we all have preferences in gear we use. And that's sort of biased as well. For me, I'm only like 65, 70 kilograms in winter, and that's a big problem because usually the riders that watch my reviews, they are way heavier. So it's not intentional being biased, but I get away with smaller gear and I'm saying, wow, this is so radical, because it is radical for me and I'm absolutely loving it. And then people go out and they just buy the same. And I'm saying, don't buy it if you're heavier, get something else, but they still want to try it. And then they struggle so hard and they get back. Like you said, the Razor 975 would be such a good pick. And I was like, well, it is, but it's for me with my riding style, my skill level and my weight and my physical shape. It might not be for you. And that's a big problem. I wish I was a little bit heavier because then it would be more mainstream. It's a real problem for me and my reviews.
I get that. Yeah. And you can also, you get used to gear.
Yeah.
For example, I think we can all agree, even Ensis, that their V1 wasn't the best. It was the one that was available to me. And it was the only one I used for the first maybe half year. And I got used to it and it was fine. Yeah. But it being a good Parawing, if you compare it to something else, then... Well, he's biased because
that's interesting, because that's the one that I did a review of, that Ensis, and I didn't sing its praises, and the people at Ensis didn't like that. I think they expected it to be much better than it was. Put it this way, they definitely didn't offer to send me their V2.
Really? I think because of that?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they just didn't like me or the review. I don't know. I got the impression that it didn't go down well. But yeah, that's what it is, right? If you go too far the other way, then your channel will just stop because nobody will believe you, and that's the reality of it. And a lot of people have gone out. I say a lot of people. The problem we've got in this industry is that most of and they're not even reviews, their product descriptions is shops doing reviews. So you can't, like, a shop cannot do a review because they're trying to sell the product. What they can do is tell you about it and go, and again, it's just this fine line between, like, and unfortunately YouTube is just full of shops doing, and they call them reviews. And I just disagree with that completely. I think it should be individuals that are doing it rather than shops. I don't know. What do you guys think of that?
It's just, I think Matt had to, just before I answer yours, Matt had a very good point in getting used to gear and making reviews. And that's maybe with the shops as well. It takes a lot of time to break into a new foil. And sometimes I do my first sessions, I was like, man, I'm not going to like it. And then I do another one and another one and another one. And then you find like a very nice window or like a setting where it works perfectly. And that takes time and a lot of effort. And I think that's very important. There's so many things to it. If you have, let's say, you get sent a foil, a new one, and release date is in 2 weeks. No way I can make a decent review in 2 weeks. Usually I surf a foil for at least 2-3 months before I kind of get my head around it. And then I'm making a review, which is bad for me as well, because my videos would be way better on release date. Like coming up, the brand says, here we are. And I'm like, hey, I've got the best review ever, watch this. And I'm always late to the party because I spend so much time reviewing the gear. Like there's so much stuff around here which needs to be reviewed. It's people are not interested in anymore because there's already a lot of reviews out there already, which are not really in depth. It's super hard. And I see really the same hard. Shops are just giving specs, and everyone who's into sales, and I'm trying not to get into sales. I thought at the beginning, like I could do reviews and sales at the same time, and I totally dropped the sales because it just doesn't work, because then you become biased because you want to sell something, and that's what the shops need to do. But it just doesn't work. It doesn't work for me, and it shouldn't work for others. So I'm absolutely with you, Gabe. Shops are doing specs. They give you like the sheer numbers, and then there's people out there, and I wish everyone was spending like at least 10, 15, 20, probably best 100 sessions on the gear, and then really telling you the difference according to their riding style and whatever they do.
And I have definitely made that mistake where I have done a review too quickly, and I've done the opposite where I've really liked a product straight away, and then I've used it again after the review, and then gone, oh my God, I don't actually like this very much, and I've already put the review out, and people are kind of like, you can't claw it back then. Like once it's out there, it's out there. And, quite often, you want to take it off, make an adjustment and put it back again, but you can't do that on YouTube. It's just, so I totally agree with what you're saying. I think you need it for at least, I normally say to brands like 3 weeks. That's what I say. And that's like 3 weeks of me trying to use it almost every day.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of 10, that doesn't happen. 9 times out of 10, what happens is, as you mentioned, it arrives 2 days before the launch date. And they're like, come on, get it out. And you're like, nah, that's not going to work. And then again, but people want it as well. That's the thing, is that like the people that can, the consumers want the review as soon as it's launched as well. They don't want to wait around because this industry is bonkers how fast it moves. Like it's bonkers.
Crazy.
Like, something is irrelevant after 6 months almost. It's crazy. So, and unfortunately, like the time and effort you put into a review, if you release it like 3 months after the drop date, then it's just not worth the time because no one's going to watch it.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge.
That's the problem that you have, Nico, huh? Because your reviews are so in depth, super high quality, but yes, sometimes just times over. What I feel like with the Parawings, that's a really nice thing to review, because I don't know if it is because I've had over 20 different ones in my hands already. I can feel quite quickly if they're good or not, or good. Like if they suit my area where I foil, my riding style and whatnot. So that's actually got a little simpler the more I used. Is that for you, Gav?
Exactly. So I think Parawings for me are the easiest to do, and that's why I've lent into them, because I reckon I can figure it out in probably about like a session or 2 sessions. like I can normally pull out the bag and instantaneously I'm getting a good feeling or a bad feeling. Like I just almost, but with a foil, that is very different. A foil is like, you got to really know that. And it takes a long time. Again, it's one of the reasons why I kind of went down this Parawing, because of the simplicity and the ease of it, and also the sending and everything. So, and actually, as I've grown, I'm finding that I'm getting quite good relationships with the individuals in brands, and then they will send it early, and then so I have like a good period of time before it gets launched, and so I had the flow a long time before the launch date. So I had the review all done, dusted to go on. That was the most relaxed review thing I've ever done. Like it was but yeah, it is a real challenge, that one. And I don't get it right all the time, that's for sure. I'm still learning every time I do it, and I think the key to it is, what I do is I really listen to the comments. And the comments tell you the direction you need to go in, I find, because people will voice quite loudly when you get it wrong. And so rather than sort of, as long as it's positive criticism, like we were saying early on, it's not hate text, but I listen to that quite a lot. The positive criticism is how you grow, I think. Yeah. What hat's that? I can't see.
That's Rest Tube.
Rest Tube. Another one.
Yeah, I'm going to switch caps because we're going to talk about like what you show, what else you show in a bit. Nico, you're pro at that, but you wanted to say something just before.
I totally agree on the foils. And I think the difference between Parawings and foils is that there's so much adjustment to foils. You can change the fuselage, step, tail, you can shim. And there's two prototypes, one on each side here in the room. And I've been out yesterday just working on different tail lengths, steps, and shims, and it's just, I was like, whoa! I could spend at least 10 hours just dialing in on one foil, and then you do pedal ups, maybe prone, do a little bit of foil drive, and power winging. So it's super hard to really get into the nitty gritties of a foil, and I think power wing is a lot easier. It's still, you do want to spend some time. Like so many times I had a product and I thought it would be, yeah, it's okay. And then all of a sudden, like with the Sea Devil from Subfoil, and it's still, I think people, it's either love or hate. And a lot of people, they said, oh, you made such a nice review, and they just hate it from the look. And I was like, well, have you tried it? And they go, no, but it just looks fat and ugly. And I was like, yeah, but like spend a decent amount of time on it. And I'm not saying it's a high performance foil. It's not, it's a fun machine. And then people go like, yeah, do you still have it? And I think that's something that really shows if you like or not like a product. And I still have it here. It's still here. I still ride the Sea Devil from time to time, not as a daily driver, but as a total fun machine. And I love it. So there's a lot of effort going into reviews, and I think there need to be a lot of effort to make a decent review. But there's so many decisions you have to make. It's sitting there, uploading a final review and making the title. You can go for like, this is an honest review, or you can go like, this is the most amazing review you have to watch, or watch this in the next 24 hours or you die. Like you can go clickbait if you wanted to. And I actually did on one of my first videos, I said like, I think it was like, learning to pump foil in 3 sessions. This is the only video you need, like, period. And then people went on in the comments like, yeah, there's always someone who knows everything. Like, you're the only one. And yeah, I kind of listened to it and I was like, yeah, he's right. I didn't change it. I left it how it was, probably I think it was one of my first videos. But I'm trying to be in everything I make, like the descriptions, the keywords, everything needs to be more or less honest and facts. But at the same time, you could just tweak it a little bit and you're getting like double the clicks. And this is always temptation. You could
and you have to do that as well, because if you have a super good review and no one watches it, then it's not worth it.
And there's so many, like we talked about this before, there's so many small decisions like people are probably not aware of, but just recording a podcast right now. It's like I'm wearing a foil drive shirt and I put it on purpose just to show that this is a decision. Like I'm picking a brand, and it doesn't matter which one it is right now. I just wanted to have something where you could read it. And I'm not picking a branded shirt in the review, which I'm making like the review, the topic. So I would never go for like a coat shirt on a code review because it makes me look biased. So I would take something else. but it's people see it, people read it. The other day I was wearing a black subfoil hat, and at least 10 people got back to me, hey, where can I buy that? So it was not about the foil, it was about the hat I was wearing, and they get back to you. So there's a lot of things playing into this whole social media, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
For all the listeners who don't see us, one in the back we have the slingshot wing. Probably you said you have a foil drive shirt. You, Gav, are obviously in your work clothes. Me, I'm wobbling around because I'm on a balance board, as I usually am. You know, I'm gonna say it. It's sponsored by Indiana Skateboards. So that's out there. The podcast, as you might heard after the intro, is sponsored by Foilsessions. It's an app that tracks your foiling sports, and it's related to foiling, but I never reviewed that and want to sell that. I think that's a difference. Same thing with the SurfEars, also sponsor of the podcast. You should wear SurfEars for your health. And you can buy them.
I'm not sponsored by SurfEars, but I do use them all the time. They are really good.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I need SurfEars. If you're listening, I need one. I'll buy one.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Well, they listen sometimes, but you know, it's hard to, what do you show? What do you wear? Gav, we had a discussion in one of our local WhatsApp chats where I think it was the Temu or Alibaba foil that you showed, and people here saying, yeah, but what is he? He's a cold rider. Have you seen the mask in the background? I was like, well, what do you want, man? It's like,
yeah. But that's because that's the thing, isn't it? Is it like you can't, you have to have some sort of support, otherwise you can't do it. So it's this balance, right? And so I do exactly as Nico just said there. I keep the foil the same, and I change everything else. I made that decision really early. So I was like, I'm not gonna do foils. I'm just gonna keep that for a year, exactly the same, and then just change everything else. So I try, like I have done a couple of code reviews, but they're probably the most critical views. Actually, when I do them, I really dive into what I don't like about them. But that was an early decision because the foil was the hardest thing to change and chop around.
Most expensive thing as well.
Yeah. But I mean, like, when you get to a certain level on social media, that you can really pick and choose which foils you want to go with. I mean, I still pay for my foil, my code gear. I'm not getting it for free. I still pay for it, just at a discount. So, but one of the main reasons why I really pushed them is because they donated a lot to the charity. So I was like, as a thank you, I'm going to smash it for a year. So this year I've really been in the background in every shot, like just to say thank you. And I think that's absolutely fine. Like I've got no problems with that. Maybe I have overdone.
And they have amazing foils too. So it's nothing that you say that is not true.
Let me reach out.
Yeah.
Can grab it.
Yeah, Nico, you're with code
I'm working on the code review for, I've been on the XR and S series for, I think, like a little bit more than a month now. Not done yet with all of it, but I spent a lot of time on code already.
Yeah. They're not
great. Not telling anything.
It's difficult because I write Indiana. I'm a brand ambassador, but I have this like agreement with them that I can still like use other foils. For example, I did this long distance review on pump foiling, and the Indiana foil was not even in the top 3. And it's just because, I mean, it's a good foil. You can ride it easier or more easily than other foils. It's a 2-year-old foil. So in this fast changing industry, it's just not the state of the art anymore. And I said that, of course, they were not super happy, but it's like, I'm going to do honest reviews. And I really hope that adds to my credibility, but I'm still super glad that Indiana is chilled that way, that they let me do that.
Really
it's
good.
not,
yeah.
I mean, if you are with a big brand, for example, Gong, if you write anything else and show it on Instagram, you're going to get fined. So it's like, wow. Who
and
can
that
you
was
believe?
something, I think that was something, despite being honest, I wanted to work with different brands because that's just, it's a brighter horizon for yourself. Like you get to know different foils, compare them, and this reflects on the reviews, just making yourself a better foiler. And I work with a lot of brands, and none of them exclusive. So I really appreciate that. And I just love it being able to swap from slingshot to code to subfoil and Indiana and this. So there's so much foil. Like usually I have like 20, 30 foils lying around here, and it's a hassle to go to the beach because I grab so much stuff. And then I just swap, and every foil, like most of them, I think, Matt, you said it once, like we're in a time where most of the foils, or pretty much every foil, performs quite good. And some foils perform a little bit better. And then so many times a foil like the Indiana Condor S, I just had an epic paddle up session on that one, stealing a tank away for at 8 kilometers. And it's so easy on the paddle up, and then it's still nice in the wake. So I really enjoyed that. And then I come back and I was like, wow, this is such a good foil. I should write it more, but then I need to go back to reviews doing code and subfoil. So it's super hard, and I'm always switching brands, which is super funny.
But it's also in the industry, I find that is a real challenge as well, is that, obviously brands make money by selling foils, right? So they're constantly wanting to bring out another one, a tweak, making it, right. The reality of it is that a lot of the time it's not right for the majority of people. And I'll give Code a prime example of this, is that the most used foil that I ride with Code is the 850S, which is a 2.5-year-old foil. It's their first foil that came out. And that's right for me. And it's probably right for 90% of people out there, not the X's, which are radical turning foils. Don't get me wrong, they are epic, and I do use them all the time. But I would argue that the original bog standard S is probably better suited to the majority of people out there. But obviously, you need the latest and greatest, because that's how the industry works. I think it's really important that we have people like us who match the product with the person and make that bridge, as easy to navigate as possible, because sometimes the shops don't get it right and sometimes the brands don't get it right. That's what I find anyway.
I made a reel. I don't know if you've seen it, like having a foil still in wrapping foil.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that was good.
Because every foil that comes out, it says it's the game changer. It's the best ever.
Yeah.
And yeah, as you said, sometimes a 2-year-old foil is still super good and doesn't need another one. But yes, as you said, the brands, they need to make money somehow. And I think the industry is really, it's a hard time for the industry, because there's so many foil brands. There are as many foil brands as there are foilers almost. So that's really hard for them too.
I don't know how they do it, because it's a saturated market, isn't it? And Parawings is very much in that zone
it's
now.
getting competitive.
It is ridiculous. Like, there is just, every brand is making one, and they're all good now. Like, they're all getting to a point where they're really good. So
yes,
it is saturated, and it makes it very difficult for the consumer to know where to go and which to turn. And it makes, that's a good one. And but they're all good. That's the reality of it. It's like,
I'm still working on the review for the Pocket Rocket, and it's like, no one's gonna be. I made part 1, part 2. I'm gonna do a part 3 and 4. No one's gonna be interested, and people go like, "Hey, don't you have the power pack?" And then I go, "Yeah, dude, I do have the power pack, and I'm writing the power pack as well, but I need to finish this one first." And there's so much. It's like we had it before. I'm always late to the party, but I'm trying to spend a lot of time into reviews, and it just takes time.
Do you guys ever foil anymore without like creating something, without like filming it or having something in mind?
Sometimes.
I do quite a lot. I foil pretty much every day. Like, there's only 2 days in a week I can't, and so I do have sessions, and I really appreciate those, and I love the fact that when there isn't a camera, I don't have to worry. But I do enjoy the review. I really do genuinely enjoy using the new gear and trialing it out. And if you didn't enjoy it, you wouldn't do it, because it's so much work and effort. But yeah, it is nice just to go off on your own and not do anything, and or do a downwind run, like with a paddle. Like, if I haven't done that for ages, it's just quite nice just to go and do that in the car with the guys and just go and paddle up, and don't have to worry about filming or anything like that. It's quite refreshing.
For me, the worst I think is winter, because then you go out like 6 mil and you already feel like not very sportive, and then you've got the camera and you got gloves and ice and -2 degrees, and I think that's the worst. Like, I don't really mind putting on the camera, taking an Insta or something, but in winter it's just more effort, and then you come back, you have to get it all dry, store it all away, and that's where I really appreciate throwing in a session without camera from time to time. It feels like I have to all the time because I have so many reviews that are coming up. But sometimes, like yesterday, I just went and I just left the camera at home, and I was like, yeah, it feels so good to be without the camera, especially.
Yeah.
But if you don't take the camera, is it at least like to try something new? Gav, you said you're on the water almost every day. For me, it's once a week. In the summer, maybe twice a week, maybe. But the days with wind here are super rare. So I have maybe once or twice a month where I can do something with wind. So I'm always like, before getting out on the water, I use like 45 minutes or an hour just to film different stuff that I would use later on, just because, I don't get the opportunity. When you go without the camera, are you at least like testing another foil or a different foil, so you at least have something that you learn from it, or can you really just go and enjoy yourself?
Yeah, it's constantly testing, and I feel how this is slowing my learning curve. Like we had it before, if you get dialed in on gear, you just become very familiar, and then you're getting better. Like saying you want to do a trick, and if you do the same trick with the same foil over and over again, it gets dialed in. And because I'm constantly changing gear, it kind of, I learn to adapt quicker to different gear, but my learning curve in terms of performance and tricks has just slowed down drastically. Like, I wish I could spend 2-3 months in good conditions on one set, just one board, one foil, one power wing, and just get back into like learning new tricks. That's just, if you're testing constantly, and like you said, even if without the camera, I'm still testing. I'm doing roughly, I think, like 220 sessions a year, and I'm in the good position that I have the foil drive, which makes it very easy. So if we don't have the conditions, we don't have wind, I usually steal tanker waves and I just use the foil drive, which makes it easy to test and compare foils, because you can just use different foils in exactly the same conditions and with the same speed. And that's a big help for me.
So, I said before that I have like a 20% job, like 8 to 10 hours that I work for the podcast, for like editing, filming and whatnot. What's your amount of hours that you put into that?
I don't want to know. It's like, I've got a bit of a unique situation. So it's like, I'm at work right now, and so as long as I am ready to go and I can pounce and I'm on top of all my stuff and I've done all the tests and I'm, I can do what I want. So I tend to edit when I'm at work. So I sit here, and then some days we get days where I'm just flat out and we don't stop. There are some days we don't get anything. So my workflow, ebbs and flows depending on that. But then, because we do shifts, like I'm on shift tonight, so I had the whole day off. I've got to sleep a little bit during the day, but I generally can go out and do a couple hours, it's a weekend, so it's a bit more family time. But I put a lot of time into it, a lot of time. And as I said, it's only because I enjoy it. I would be way better off putting this time into being an Uber driver, and I'd earn a lot more money than what I'm doing now. Put it that I could probably, in fact, actually, I could probably buy way more foils than I have if I was an Uber driver.
Yes.
Yeah,
and that's not the best paid job to start with, right?
Yeah.
For me as well. For me, it's a full-time job. It's a full-time job for me, so I'm actually doing this more or less 24/7. And I think one of my problems is that I'm trying to push my quality each and every review I make, and I'm wasting way too much time on high quality and editing. Wow. So I could do the same and probably get the same message across in half or even like a third of the time. but it's every time I make a video, I want it to be the best video I ever made in terms of what I like and I prefer. And I think it's a standard. I'm mainly doing it for me. And so many times my wife approaches me and sees me spending a day or two on the edit. And she asks like, are we getting paid for this? And I was like, no, not a cent. But I'm doing it because for me, it's foiling, my passion for water sport, nature, creating content. It all comes together and it all combines in this hopline thing I'm doing at the moment. It's if there was one job in the world which would be perfectly suited for me, it would be exactly that. And because I created it myself. And so I kind of like spending all this time and effort. And I think that's maybe something that puts me apart from other reviewers.
Plus, it got you that job with Foil Drive, right? So that helped already. You talked about a business plan before. I don't have a business plan still. I don't know where it's going. I just enjoy the conversations like we have now. It's so interesting. And I cannot talk foiling with my family. They just don't care. So I'm happy to get that like little way to talk foiling. The first year I did YouTube, I actually tried to narrow it down and see how much I was paid per hour. And it was like 1 franc and 20 cents, which is terrible. But I still continue doing it despite that pay.
It's not about money. And I think for me, the working for Foil Drive is really a win-win situation because I don't have to bend myself. I bought the product myself, the first unit, and I just used it because I do have a user case. And like I said, I just came back from boat and talking to people. If you use a product, like in any way, I use it for wing foiling, power winging and everything. And then people come say, I have this product, and you're not talking sales. You're not saying, yeah, you can use it. You can say, yes, I've used it in this situation and it works or it doesn't work, or try to do it a different way because I have done it myself. And this is so important. Like so many times when you talk to people, and I actually spend a lot of time on chats and people randomly call me, and I just really put a lot of effort into helping these people to have more fun on the water. It's not about sales. It's not about you need this, you need this. It's just go out and try this. And you can learn to pump on a wing foil. Like if you go into a jibe and just take the wing down, that's perfect for pumping because you can get speed back with a wing. So there's so many small things, and you need to be on the water constantly, and you need to be not a professional, but like an average foiler, like the three of us, or a little bit better. And then sharing the experience and really getting to know the gear and being able, and that's something we have in common, I think, as well, is to translate this and understand what you're doing on the water and then tell people how it works. And I really enjoy this. So I'm right now, it's the best job I ever had.
I think we can look at it from a little different perspective than other ones, because like the influencers who write for brands, they go on trips and whatnot, they're obviously a lot younger. We're all like between 40 and 50, aren't we?
Yeah.
So we have a different
not going into details here.
No. So it's a little different. I completely understand anyone who is paid by a brand and just wants to make a living out of foiling. What do you say about that? How do you think that is?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's interesting how the industry's changing. Actually, I think like sports industry is, because the big superstars are the guys that now influence as opposed to competitors. Because unless you're coming first, second, third, you're irrelevant. And actually, it's so difficult in most sports to get into the top. The top 50 of people can be absolute incredible athletes, but they're just irrelevant unless you're winning, either a regatta or a competition, wherever it is. So the people who are actually having the most influence, which is all about, let's face it, sales, are people who are getting the product in front of people's faces. And so I think you're finding that like people like Jack Ho, who, has this ability to be able to like document his journeys and what have you, he'll end up doing really well at that because he sells a lot of product. And that's what brands want at the end of the day. He's likable, he's good, and he's got, a creative style to him. And that combination is difficult to get. You don't have to be a salesman to sell product in this day and age. So, yeah, I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. But yeah, that's very much a a young man's game. As you said, Nico, like at the beginning, I certainly do. I know that I have an influence on people with the videos that I do because of the feedback I get from it, and I know for a fact that as a result of that, it makes sales for brands, which is why they're so interested in getting the products on on the channels, because back in the day you'd spend 10 grand to get an advert in a magazine, right? Like they can do it for for free and get 10,000 eyes on a screen. It's hugely powerful, and so people understand that, and they understand the importance of it. So you'll see, I think the next, you'll see more and more people doing stuff like this as opposed to competing, because it just unfortunately it doesn't result in sales. And again, also, the same thing in foiling, like let's take downwinding, for example, the races in Hawaii, like how many people are actually buying the foils that they're using? Like not many, like I can tell you that, like, because they're just so high performance and advanced, people can't, relate to that, for one, and two, that their skill level is just never going to be at that point. Whereas someone learning on a foil drive, or like, just cruising on a wave, or using a power wing or winging, well, that is relatable. That is something that they're going to go out and spend money, and that's what the brands care about at the end of the day. So yeah, it's a fine balance, and I think you'll see a bit of a change in the next sort of 5 to 10 years of that.
Totally agree. And I think there's a really good point you said. Like if you have the skill level up here, and then you have social media skills up here, if you're not in the top notch, if you're not the best surfer in the world, but you get the content out there, you're making nice content, you get the product in the front of followers and users' faces, you almost have more or the same value as a top athlete. So for me, it was always, I'm okay. I'm on a stage where I can judge a foil, and that's all I need. I want to be as good as it takes to make a decent review. I don't have to be a professional, but making up for not being a professional by putting out content that maybe is better than the one from number one in the world. And like you said, the brands put a value in that right now, and you can make money with it, or you're getting gear for free, or it just allows you to make it or turn it into a profession. And this is my past. This is what I have done.
I totally agree. There are like just two more things I want to address. If you have anything you want to talk about, please just go ahead. One is like people who want that information or reviews for free. And I first thought, like you, Nico, that YouTube's going to pay a little bit something or a little bit more than I'm getting. But yes, my numbers are probably not high enough. But then again, I like made this buy me a coffee page, and it started okay, but still people are not paying $5 for this podcast. I just went to see just before, I have like 5 people who pay $5 a month. So it's really, people are used to having things for free, and that's a big problem. That's why people need to be paid to do that, or are like us, have different jobs, or like you, Nico, who just now work for Foil Drive. So people wanting things for free. I remember, Gav, when you did that was it AliExpress foil, or was it Temu, or what was it?
It was Temu, yeah. I think it was both. It was one. Yeah, one was Temu, the other one was AliExpress, like the Parawing and the.
Yes, the foil. And then someone said, well, we would need a very unbiased review, not from a code foil writer, and people should like split the foil so we can look inside. And I was just thinking, well, who's going to pay me to do that? Because I mean, if you want me to do that, yes, you can pay me. But I don't get it, how people want everything for free, want everything 100% unbiased. It just doesn't work that way. What do you think?
I know. Well, if you do, if people want that, then unfortunately, like, reviews just disappear, right? It's got to be sustainable. There has to be some element of sustainability there. So yeah, the buy me a coffee thing, that has to be, because otherwise what happens is you just get bored and you'll drop out, and then there's one less reviewer, and then it's just the shops doing it, and nobody wants that, because they're not, you're not getting correct information. Well, that's not right. You're getting correct information. You're just not getting completely unbiased information, because they're trying to sell you something, and that's fair. That's fair enough. Like, I've got no problem with that either. you know, they've got to earn a living as well, right? And so yeah, it is a fine balance, but I think people have to accept that there has to be a monetization there somehow. Like there's got to be, like otherwise it's unsustainable. And yeah, it's a balance, but if you know, if you don't get that right, then unfortunately reviewers will just stop. Like it, as you said, it's so much time. It wouldn't take much for me to turn around and just go, oh, I can't do this anymore. And then there's one less reviewer. And I'll be honest, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. There's not many independent reviewers of foils out there. There's us three, maybe two others, maybe, I don't know. Like it's not a lot because it's so expensive, time consuming and hard. You know, so it's definitely something that needs to be there because it's got a lot of value. And, you know, and I think it saves consumers a lot of, you know, everyday foilers, a lot of time and effort having to go and the other point I want to make is that like there are some shops that are excellent. Like my local shop is excellent. They have just got such great skill levels. They all foil. They know exactly what they're talking about, but not everybody has that. Like there are some shops that I've had experience of that they're just terrible. They don't really foil. They're not passionate about it, and they give bad advice, or they're trying to sell product that they're overstocked with. Like I see that I get those questions all the time. Like someone will say to me, "Oh, I went to my local shop and I bought this foil. What do you think?" And I'm like, "That is a piece of shit. You should not have, you know, been given that for your skill level." Like, you know, I don't want to say that, but that's the reality, you know. And so yeah, my point being is that they, you know, it's important. There is this service is probably the right word for it, but that will not be sustainable unless it can be monetized somehow or other. And I'm still trying to figure that out. Like I don't have a plan yet of like how I can keep this going because that, you know, there has to be something there. Like you can't just do all of this time for nothing because something else in your life will give way. So yeah, I'm still figuring that out. And I've got a few ideas that I'm playing around with, but it's so hard to stay independent from brands and do this at the same time. And it's a real, you know, that's the balance that we've got to find to make sure that we're still relevant, giving good information, but also staying independent as we can.
I think what you said, Matt, that people are not willing to pay for content. I think that's a big problem. In a perfect world for me, and I think this would be the best solution for me, every follower I have, which are roughly like 5,000 combined on YouTube and Instagram, would pay maybe 50 cents or €1 a month. And that would allow me to be totally independent and do whatever I want to do. So that would be a perfect solution. But you mentioned the Buy Me a Coffee. I think I set it up 2 years back and no one ever paid anything. So I'm getting roughly like a dinner worth in money from YouTube a month. So not even just for me, not even for my wife. That's it. I never got any money from buying me a coffee or something. So it's because we are a niche within the niche. It's just not reaching enough people and we don't get the numbers. We're trying to put out quality reviews competing with like the big tech brands, but with such a small audience. And I think this is one of the main problems. Like the reel you just put out with the iPhone where you're in your kitchen and you seal the iPhone. I think if you just put up a reel, anything, and you just write, the iPhone is great, you're getting more views and clicks than the best video I ever put up, just because you have like such a huge audience, which we don't have.
Yeah, the bubble is really small, but you know, it's the bubble I want to be in. That's just
absolutely.
I enjoy. Also,
no sustainability on my level.
I think you two should go into OnlyFans. You should set up OnlyFans case.
I think I'm too old for that. But you know, I talked to Freddie and Liam about it. Like, if I still care about the podcast, and it's not that the podcast, like the conversations, but just like what happens with it after. And there's the same kind of problem because I love these conversations. Like now, like next Monday, I'm gonna have one, and the conversations are great. But then editing it, like finding a thumbnail that is appealing to people, upload it, look at the numbers, maybe like tell them how it went, and maybe get a sponsor with those small numbers. And that whole thing, I don't like. The conversations are still awesome. So as long as I enjoy these conversations, I'm going to continue. And as long as I love foiling, I'm going to continue because I think it's still an incredible feeling. And people always say they want the sport to grow. I'm not 100% for the sport to grow, but I want that people have the same experience, that flying over water, which is just the best.
And the community. And I think this was one of the biggest things for me. When I started my channel and I said, like, I'm a landlocked German-based foiler on a river and I'm going to turn it into a profession, everyone was laughing. It's like, you're like an average foiler, you have wind 10 times a year and you want to make reviews? And I was like, yeah. And in my journey, I got to know people, and then you get to know other people, and then you're slowly going to more and more events, and then you're becoming part of this community, including brands. Like, some of the brands really have a very nice community thinking. And I think this is one of the things I really enjoy the most, being able to talk to people that are on the same motivation level, having the same passion for the sport, on a very high skill level, and riding. Like, I just spent time at boat in the pool with Tom Earl, and he's a legend on the foil, and he's way better than I am. But I was just following him, doing the same, and we're just having a really good time. So my work is sometimes not paid by money, but by having these opportunities. And if I look back the last 2 years, so many highlights, like making a shooting for the Foil Drive Fusion in Saint-Tropez, being able to just be on a yacht and do that, not getting paid for it, but just having the chance to be part of that community is such a huge benefit for me, which has way more value than money by itself.
I get that, man. It's just not paying taxes, is it?
Yeah.
Or rent.
Nope.
Well,
just
guys,
it's paying in big smiles.
that is super important too, really, and that's what it's all about. I mean, it's just what you're gonna do. We're way over now. There's just one thing left, Gav, and I kind of have to do that. And I'm kind of sorry about that, but a friend of mine, he bought a stash after he's seen your review, and he now is very, how do you say? He's not sure how much he has to believe about or how much he can believe about the reviews. And I say, no, come on. It really depends on where you use it. The first one, yes.
Yeah. But that's I say this all the time to people, is that, like, and I stand by it, that stash was a good Parawing at the time. Like, because it was really early, and I've still got that stash, and I've used it recently, and it's fine. It goes upwind. You can't compare that to where we are now with Parawings, because the progress has been so exponential that it's like a different sport. So if he bought that stash a week after I did the review, then okay, maybe we got different reviews. But at the time, that wing I thought was pretty good. Like, I thought, considering what was out on the market, there was probably 3 others. So yeah, right. Now it's not, I wouldn't even make the top 20 probably, but at the time, yeah, I think it was fine.
It was funny because when he said that, I said, well, I watched your review of the Morph as well, and you said it was pretty good. You use it in pretty harsh conditions, and I use it like in marginal conditions. And then one puff hit, and I was like, all right, that what he is talking about. Because if you don't have enough wind, or you're not super well powered, then the Morph was not a good Parawing. But like in the top end and with a lot of gusty winds, then I saw like the appeal or the advantage of that pulley system. So it really depends on the condition, on how you're feeling, if you're tired already or you're still fresh, and what foil you use, what waves you have. So that's what I told him, and I said,
and the rider as well. We've talked about this as well. As I said, but when I was doing that review, I was pretty competent on a Parawing, and so it was, and I probably hadn't used enough at that point to know what was like really good and what was really bad. But as I said, like I think if you put an absolute beginner on that thing, probably not a good idea. But if you were competent, then it's fine, because you know how to tweak it, you can just compensate with skills. And so, yeah. Anyway, maybe I got that one wrong. I don't know.
No. I said it to him as well. I used the V1 Roger, and I thought it was a good Parawing, but it was the only one I used. I compared it then to the Flow, the V1 Flow, which a lot of people liked. I didn't like too much. I still preferred the V1 from Ensys. So, you know, it's personal preference. That's why I always
because
try.
interesting. Sorry, because the video that you did recently of the comparing the ozone to the North, I was like, how are you comparing those two? Because I did not like the North at all, and I was at that time I was sponsored by them, so I was like,
oh really?
I was like, dude, I did not like that. I had a real fallout about it because I was like, I'm not going to review this because it's not, you know. And there was a massive
Did you go
delay
upwind?
to it.
Did you try to go upwind with it?
The North, yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah. Yes, it's terrible. I compared it to the Power Pack because I said, well, if you want a downwind Parawing, just for downwinding, because we in Switzerland, we go up with the train and then just downwind. And then I could easily take a north because I think the low end is really impressive. Going upwind, terrible. But if I just want to go downwind, I don't need an expensive Power Pack. I just can't take
but the issue that I've got with most wings, and this is why a lot of people fell out with the Gong one that I did, is that I totally get that. That makes absolute sense. But it's got to be able to cope with gusts. It has to be able to cope with strong wind. If it doesn't, it can be really dangerous. Like I know people that have had their arms yanked and so the North wasn't good at it. It collapsed. Any wing that collapses in a gust is for me a big no-no. And so that's why the ozone is like, it's so solid in wind. You can't compare the two. Like it's, you know, it's they're like night and day. I can't believe that you're like on the video. I was like, no way, are they the same?
And it's funny. I stand by that point of view. I would still not take the Power Pack.
Oh wow!
But that's surprising. And the backpack, I really like the backpack the North comes with. But as you said, it's personal preference.
What do you say? What do you think, Nico? This is interesting. You see, this is
it's interesting. Like they're different. Like I think the Power Pack upwind performance is quite nice. You just have to get used to a different riding style because it is more like a downwind parachute. So it's got that little canopy tucking in on the bottom, so it rides different. And I had to get used, coming from the Power Pack and other, from the Pocket Rocket and other Parawings. It was a little bit difficult to get into a nice upwind performance, but in the end, I was super impressed with the Power Pack, to be honest. And there's a lot of changes which they made to the Pocket Rocket. And I still, for my style of riding, doing more upwind and upwind downwind runs, not stashing the Parawing most of the time, not tucking it away. The Pocket Rocket is the better option. The Power Pack would be more redefined and more high performance, but it just does not fit my style of riding. So it's different. I love them, to be honest.
I still think it's a good pairing. I hope that it came through with the video. I just didn't get the hype. Like everyone says, this is as I said in the in the Insta reel, game changer and whatnot. And they're like, it's not a game changer. It's just another good Parawing specifically for downwinding.
I agree with the sentiment of what you're saying. I think for me, the hype is the changes that they did in the bridle. Like that is amazing. Those bridles that are just like straight lines. The fact that it's the bar was the right length. They just made these like changes that really made the sport easier and more accessible, and that's the hype, not necessarily the performance of it actually. Sorry, let me just grab this light again. Not necessarily the performance of the actual wing going upwind. I mentioned that, but that's what I was hyped about it, is because I can see where it's going, and I know they're going to do that to the Pocket Rocket V2, and that's going to be the one that I will get hyped about. Like I know that one's going to be good, because like what they're going to do is put all of those features into a wing that goes upwind really well with shorter lines, and that's what I'm after. And again, it's like what you're after is different to what I'm after, and that's the whole point. I mean, we've discussed that right at the beginning of the and
it's fine as well. It's really it's totally okay.
And these long lines on the Pocket Rocket on the first version, like still the recent version, everyone was complaining you can't get it in with one arm length. And my arms, I'm small, are even shorter. But for me, I'm just doing 2 pull-ins, and I'm not pulling it in that much, and I'm not stashing it away. So for me, having the long lines and the Parawing just sitting even just 30-40 centimeters higher in the wind window does make a difference, because the wind on the river is just different. And sometimes it's not on the ground, and you can see the kiters are up and kiting, and you struggle with a Parawing because it's just too many turbulences right on the water surface. And having longer lines does make a difference for me. And then even I'm using from Right Engine, they have these harness where the attachment point is sitting up here, and that makes a difference. That's another 25 centimeters riding the Parawing higher than a normal one. And it's that's a game changer for me. So I hope they're not shortening the lines too much and still give it a little bit over range. So,
but you know,
it's like a low kite.
I don't think that, well, with the first Ozone, the pocket rocket, they didn't have a problem with the long lines. I thought just the low end was a bit lacking.
The pocket rocket.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't think so. I thought the low end was great, but again, that depends on like the size of the wing you've got, the conditions, the foil, the board, the skill. Like there's so much that goes. But I find low end is such a difficult one to answer because there's so many other variables that can impact it.
Yes, the long board, the
exactly
waves that maybe help.
You can compensate for low end. Yeah. You can't compensate for high end, and so that's why it's way more important in my view. But you know what? Where I think it's all going now is that there's a big demand for people wanting these slightly bigger sizes. So the 5s, the 5.5s, and the 6s, those sizes, because they're really hard to get right. I've only come across the big, this is big argument about Parawings are overpriced, and they're all, everyone says this on the reviews. I'm not paying that much, and they're price gouging and things. One of the reasons why they're expensive, because the R&D in getting the big sizes right is really challenging. And I've yet to see a cheap one get that right. Like in anything other than something like 4, 5, or, I think that's where we'll see the rest of this year going, is that brands starting to bring out that 5.5 to 6 meter and getting that right. That will be a real game changer, because Matt, am I right in thinking you've used the big 777 7 meter, haven't you?
The 7.3, yes.
Yeah. Is that any good? I haven't used that.
I've used it in 10 to 12 knots, and it worked. It got me on foil, which already I thought that was super cool. Also, I was even able to start it when sitting on my board. I had a board with the same literage as I am, so it's not a real sinker, but some Sebi sinker style. I swam out, so it was even wet, and I got it flying. I got on foil. For its size, it really felt like a Parawing, and it worked quite well. I would give it like an 8 out of 10. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, right.
But I'm excited and that's one last question, because I don't know if anyone's still listening.
We're getting a little off topic here.
Yeah, Parawing is just so much fun, isn't it? I'm gonna get the 777, the hybrid, in the next couple of days or weeks. Yeah. I'm excited about that. What do you have coming in the next couple of days? Can you share maybe?
Yeah, for sure. I've got the one I'm really excited about is the Vayu, their new one they've just launched.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
So that one's coming tomorrow, actually. So I'm really excited about that. That was going to be good. I'm really excited about that. And I've got the bigger sizes of the stash. I've got a 5, 6 coming. So I'm really excited to see how that goes. And then I've got some interesting boards. I've got the have you seen the Whacker board, the folding board?
Yeah, great looking board.
So I've got that coming. That'll be interesting. And what else have I got in? Oh, I've got the missionary, because you've done one on that, haven't you, Nico? From Oman.
Yeah, the emissary.
Yeah.
Awesome board. I love it.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. Oh, great.
Yeah, and it's super funny because it has this displacement hull. And then you're sitting in the water, and it's like displacement, and all of a sudden it's like whoom, and it just turns on, and it just goes from not going to going super easy and quick in like a split second. So you'll love it.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. In fact, actually, interestingly, Greg was like, he goes, "Oh, what size do you want?" I go, for Powering In, I normally have like an 85, 90 liter. And he goes, "No, I'm going to send you the 66 liter." I was like,
"Yeah, it's great."
Really? And he's like, "Yeah, trust me." And I was like, "Wow, that's confidence." So we'll see how that goes.
It's like these apple tree boards. I have to upload a reel. They are super tough. The other day, I put the Omen Emissary. I put it with a cold foil on the beach, and I was a little bit scared a wind would pick it up and flip it over. But I just wanted to go back to the car to get my Parawing. And I walked up to the beach, and then I heard the clonking noise of carbon against rocks, like the emissary and the code rolling over. And I was like, oh no. So I ran back. And I actually captured it on the Insta360, which was attached to my back. And it flipped over like 3 or 4 times. And I was like, oh my God, it's going to be like, I can't do this session because it's going to be broken. And there was nothing. Like there was a tiny scratch, not even nothing. So I could still go for the session. And I couldn't believe it. I checked the board like 6 or 7 times because I heard it hitting the rocks. So these Omen Emissary, it's made by Appletree, and they do a really good job in tough boards. It's high quality.
Yeah.
Very nice. Actually, one super last thing.
One more thing. It's just like a surf session here.
Nico, you just said that you have your Insta360 in the back. Sometimes you use your phone now. You have a new camera, right? Maybe you can share about that. And Gav, you're using the drone a lot, or you have a drone pilot that follows you. Do you have a following drone? How do you guys do that? Like the filming part?
I would love to use the drone, but it's just illegal. The river I'm using is state territory, and I'm not allowed to fly the drone. This is why I always have to use something else. It's a shame.
Yeah, that's annoying because the drone is the best quality. It's so much better. But it's like I've found a guy who's like he's a local guy. He's young. He's really reasonable rates, and he's really good with it. He's really good with his drone because he gets it. His dad foils. He's always been around foiling. He doesn't foil himself, but he surfs a lot.
Don't get him into foiling.
No, I know. That's
no, never.
Never. But he's really good. In fact, actually, he's gone away for a month, and so I'm without drone for a month, and I've actually had to go back for a couple of videos of just using GoPro and Insta360. So they're like, believe it or not, I think the GoPro is one of the best ones for capturing footage of Parawing because I can hold it and it just captures it. I have real problems with the Insta360's quality, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but the quality of the image I'm getting with it is just terrible. I really need to sit down and figure that out because I'm not. Maybe I can grab some tips off you guys.
It might be the export settings. Like if you might capture it in good quality and then just exporting it out of the Insta360 studio suite, that sometimes ruins the quality.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
One last thing I wanted to say about Parawing, and this is something I had to get my head around as well. In terms of value for money, I mean, this is if you pay like, I'm not sure how much they are, but it's such a small package. And some people just go by size and value what you get. When you buy a wing, which will be a little bit more expensive, but not much, you get like a huge wing and it's just huge in size. And this is so small. It's like the size of a t-shirt and it's just lines, fabric, and the handle. It looks cheap, but I always go by how much fun do I get out of it? Like if I put the fun in terms of money and value, and if I spend, I don't know, 900 euros on a Parawing and I can sell it after a year for 400 or 500, I lost 400 euros and I had 50 good sessions. And this comes down to, I don't know, like 10 euros a session. And I was like, wow, that's super cheap. I never had that much fun for 10 euros. If I go to the cinema, it'll be way more and less fun for sure. So Parawings might look small and not much in terms of material you get for your money, but the fun you get out of them is just incredible.
Yeah.
The fun or just the intensity of a session, because I've never cursed as much as with a Parawing. No, maybe with a paddle as well, but like winging is just is so easy compared. So the intensity of the session, I would say.
Yeah.
Going from super
guys,
stoked.
I'm probably going to have to
we're going to have to wrap it up. Just at Hydro_Gav to follow Gav on YouTube and on Instagram, at Hotline for Nico. Thank you very much, guys, for coming on.
Not anymore.
Super cool. That was fun. That was awesome.
We had this competition for 2,500 followers, and
I know. I've been watching it. Has someone won yet or not?
Yeah, Matt did.
Yes, I done.
Yesterday or the day before yesterday.
Yes, the day before yesterday. But you know, as you said, it's not about the quantity of followers, it's about the quality. So everyone who is still listening, go over to Nico's Buy Me a Coffee and buy him one or two coffees so he can get another dinner, or he can invite his wife for dinner. Let's say
one day.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for coming on, and talk to you soon.
It's been a pleasure. Take care, guys.
Thank you very much, guys.